So welcome to this session now on indirect transfer. So students, will quickly go through. This is part B of our non-resident taxation 30th of May. So I hope that all of you now part A done with it. So we'll start with this particular segment, in which case one of the most important provision of indirect transfer, students, we are going to touch upon for the revision perspective also. So herein, hope that all of you now are into this particular part. Students, this particular section has been targeted in a very small MCQ part right now, but now there is an equal chance or quite a very high probability that this particular section can be targeted to a very full-fledged case study form, a practical question form. One practical question, students, which is there already in our MTP also, MTP number 1, which I want to discuss with all of you as well. Now, quickly, students, running into certain very critical concept on indirect transfer. Let's look upon to this one by one. I'll just put across certain case studies before all of you. Yes, hello, Shubham. Now, let's get into it straight away, students. So, case study number 1. So, I'll always give you this case studies as well. In this case, say this is India. Hello, Chintan. Yes, Siddesh. So, this is India. So, I will be doing the indirect transfer now, but before doing the indirect transfer, just quickly run through this particular case study and say this is USA, Shreya. Yeah. So now XINC dot of USA, primarily they are investing in the shares. So invest in the shares of whom? Now this is your primarily say RIL. Good afternoon students. Sanjana Sindhuja, good afternoon. Now that is what they have done it. So invest in the shares of the RIL. Now thereafter, the next particular point, the second point is about thereafter, after some point of time, they have transferred the shares. Now they have invested at rupees say 10 per share is what they have invested. Ravi, hello. Roy, hello. Now subsequently they have transferred the shares of RIL to YINC dot say at rupees 100 per share. So you have invested. First is what is your investment, and next, students, is about is a transfer. So first is the investment and the next one is about the transfer. Now therefore, we all now can see easily that there is a capital gains of rupees 90 per share. So therefore the question is this capital gains. Yes, Divya, it is Vodafone. So capital gains of rupees 90 per share. Now whether it is accrued in India, whether it's deemed to accrue in India. So this is the question primarily. To that the answer is yes, indeed. This 90 rupees per share, students, which is the capital gains, this 90 rupees, that is the capital gains. So the purchase price was at rupees 10 per share. It subsequently was being transferred primarily to YINC dot. This transfer, students, is also to whom? To a particular foreign company itself, that is YINC dot, and that transfer has taken place, students, in USA. So transfer to whom? To a foreign company. Where it has been transferred to? It is transferred in USA. So therefore, in this regard, this particular 90 rupees of the capital gains, can we therefore say that it is deemed to accrue or rise in India? To that the answer is yes. The reason being, herein, the capital asset, what is the capital asset which has been transferred? The shares of an Indian company. The shares of any company shares of any company is said to be situated is said to be situated at a place of its incorporation. So wherever it has been incorporated, students, that is the place wherein it is said to be located. So because it is incorporated in India, therefore the transfer of a capital asset situated in India will result into a capital gains which is deemed to accrue as in India. So we can just write herein the shares of a company, the shares of a company is said to be situated is said to be situated in a location. It's said to be situated in a location, or you can write is said to be situated at the place of its incorporation. Therefore, the shares of RIL Limited is situated in India. Is situated in India. Accordingly, the capital gains arising on the transfer of a capital asset situated in India is deemed to accrue or arise in India. Accordingly, the capital gains arising on the transfer of a capital asset situated in India is deemed to accrue or arise in India. Got this particular point, students? Yes, so this is primarily the normal case. This is precisely, please understand, this is not the Vodafone case. Vodafone is different. This is not the Vodafone presently which I am doing right now with you. It's a normal case whereby you have to be very careful about what has been transferred is the shares of the Indian company which is situated in India. This was a transfer in respect of a shares of a company, shares of an Indian company which is situated in India. Therefore, the capital gains arising on the transfer of this particular Indian company shares will be will be deemed to accrue as in India. So this is not a Vodafone, primarily which you should mistake upon in the examination, because this is what the ICI has given to you earlier also in some earlier attempts. This is what these people have asked, and students got influenced with the Vodafone thing, and they have quoted these explanation 5 to 911 not required, and 0 marks is what you will get if you get influenced with that Vodafone with this. This is not Vodafone. Vodafone was a structuring. And what is the structuring? A simple form of the structuring, I'll let you know. Please pay attention now, all of you. Be careful. Now let's develop this case study itself. Now XINC dot realized one thing. What they have realized? That I have a direct exposure in the capital asset which is situated in India. I have a direct exposure in the capital asset which is situated in India. So what Vodafone did was, students, what Vodafone did in this case was this. What XINC dot here we'll speak only about XINC dot. What XINC dot did was to avoid a direct exposure in the investment in the capital asset situated in India. It got an intermediary in between. It got what? An intermediary in between. So therefore this would be my case study number 2. So case study 2 here would be about the fact that India will remain the same herein. Now here there is a Singapore company. So India, Singapore and then USA. India, Singapore and then USA. So here, students, what happens? XINC dot has floated a company in Singapore which is ZPLC. A company was being floated by investing how much? Investing in 10 lakh shares of ZPLC at say $10 per share. 10 lakh shares at $10 per share. So they made the investment of subscribe the shares of ZPLC in Singapore of 10 lakh shares by putting $10 per share. That was a face value subscription. So students, here in their share capital, they will now have how much? They will have 100 lakhs. So they will have $100 lakhs in their share capital, isn't it? That is what they will have. Now accordingly, if you find correspondingly, there would be a cash and bank. Cash and bank of how much? Again, say $100 lakhs. This is the net result primarily of the investment that has been made so far. Now what this particular company is going to do? What this company is going to do? They are going to then use this particular cash and bank. Say for example, 20% they have made the investment. So they went with the investment. 20% and 80% is the kind of a ratio. 20% and 80% is a kind of a ratio. You'll say, what is this 20% and 80% kind of a ratio? So 80% students, they use this fund to invest. Invest in what? Invest in RIL shares. So invest in the shares of the RIL. And 20% they have done in the investment in foreign asset. So invest in the foreign asset. So this is what is the second step. Investment. The second step is what? Investment. 80% in the RIL share and balance 20% in certain other foreign asset. This is what these people did. After that, students, as we know that the growth rate here of the growth rate of RIL, the growth rate of the RIL shares, the company growth rate was 40%. Now, if the growth rate of the company RIL is 40%, what happens now? The share price of RIL in the market will then start picking up fast, thick and fast. If the growth rate of RIL is 40%, what does it imply? It will imply that the share price of the RIL in the market will pick up very thick and fast. So it will enhance substantially. Now, if the share price of RIL will enhance substantially, it will have its own impact. What? In the investment value of the ZPLC. So the fair market value of the investment of ZPLC, the fair market value of the investment of ZPLC, that will pick up. Book value of the investment of ZPLC, that is one thing, but the FMV value of the ZPLC investment, will that also enhance substantially to that extent? And the answer is yes. So if the FMV value of my investment, if that goes up, that will have an impact. Impact on what? On my own share price. And therefore what has happened now? My own share price value has gone up. My own share price value, students, has gone up. And by virtue of this, students, by virtue of this, what will be the case? By virtue of this here, the situation goes now something like this. XINC dot primarily now they have transferred now the shares of, whose shares they are transferring? The shares of ZPLC, okay, at $100 per share. Now from where you got this $100 per share? Because the fair market value of the shares of ZPLC also proportionately increased on account of the increase in the fair market value of its own assets, of its own investments. So they transferred the shares of ZPLC at rupees 100 per share. Now question therefore is, the question that is to be asked all of you is this, that whether the capital gain of $90 per share, the capital gains of $90 per share, is it deemed to accrue or arise in India? Is it deemed to accrue or arise in India? This is a question to be answered. To that the answer is yes. The capital gains of $90 per share, it is deemed to accrue or arise in India. The answer is, students, yes, it is deemed to accrue or arise in India. Now how that answer is yes? First of all, see, the argument of XINC dot will be what? The argument of XINC dot will be that, look, in this case study 2, I have transferred not the shares of RIL, which is an Indian company. I have sold the shares of ZPLC, which is incorporated where? in Singapore, and as we just now have concluded that the location of the shares of a company is situated in the place of its incorporation. So now X-INC is going to argue that I have sold an asset which is situated in Singapore. So therefore, if any country has to have any objection about the tax liability, that country has to be Singapore. So the objection that has to be raised has to be of that of Singapore, not of India. The objection that has to be raised is that of the Singapore. India is not a party for raising any such objection in this particular transaction of transfer of the shares of ZPLC Singapore. So therefore, this is what Vodafone did. In fact, more sophisticated structuring was done in Vodafone. This is a very simple structuring which I gave it to you, wherein there was only one company in between through which the company, that is X-INC has made the investment in the Indian asset. So students, one thing is for sure in the examination. One thing is sure in the examination herein, be careful. You have to write the provision very carefully. And which provision you have to write? The provision that you are supposed to target in the examination is, first provision has to be explanation. Now you have to be very careful, students, here. If you cannot write this properly, please break it down in points, because ultimately you will be getting marks only as to what you will write in the exam. So explanation number 5 to section 911 is what you need to put forth as your main point. Whenever you see the question on indirect transfer, just directly explanation 5 to 914, and then thereafter herein we will say the shares of just write like this herein, where the shares of a foreign company. Which foreign company we are talking herein? ZPLC. Derive its value. Only one sentence. I'm just breaking it into manageable portion. One sentence is broken it into manageable portion. Derive its value substantially either directly or indirectly from an Indian asset, then the shares of such foreign company, again I am writing ZPLC, is deemed to be situated in India. Students, first of all, you need to visualize the provision. That's the reason why I'm putting this ZPLC in this one. Visualize the case study and then try to break it down. You have to recall this one. Please, certain things, students, you cannot substitute. You will have to write like this, the provision. Now, obviously, you may choose even in the examination, you can write like this. Absolutely no worries, provided you write it properly. Those critical sentence and the phrases has to be there. So what is that you're supposed to write in the answer? Where the shares of a foreign company derive its value substantially, either directly or indirectly, from an Indian asset. Here, I will say that ZPLC is deriving its value directly from the Indian asset. ZPLC is deriving directly from the Indian asset, that is from RIL. But there can be also be complications which they will tell you that look, there was a ZPLC. After ZPLC, there was another company which ZPLC has floated in, say, Mauritius. Or ZPLC may have floated another company in India. Please pay attention. ZPLC has floated another company in India. Through that company, it is making an investment in RIL. Even that is a possibility. So if ZPLC has floated one more company which is in India, and through that the shares, the investment is made in RIL. So students, it goes without saying now. Now what will happen? The Indian company which has made the investment in RIL, the Indian company which has made the investment in RIL, that Indian company share price will go up because of RIL. That Indian company share price will go up because of RIL. Do you all agree? Yes. Now that Indian company will give the value to whom? To ZPLC. because the investment of ZPLC is in that Indian company, isn't it? So RIL is giving the value to the investment of Z of the Indian to the investment in the Indian company. That Indian investment company will correspondingly will give value to whom? To ZPLC Singapore, and consequently the value of the shares of ZPLC Singapore will go up in the market, and therefore finally here XINC dot, who has transferred the shares of ZPLC Singapore, they will derive the capital gains, and they will ask you in the question that whether the capital gains earned by XINC dot, is it deemed to accrue rise in India? To that you will say the answer is yes, but the focus would be the value of ZPLC, the foreign company whose shares has been transferred. So students, here in explanation 5, which foreign company we are targeting in our answer? Which foreign company we are targeting in our answer? Say the foreign company that we are targeting in our answer, that is the foreign company whose shares has been transferred. Because in this case it was very easy. ZPLC was one company in between, that's it, and directly they have made the investment in what? In Indian company shares, that is in RIL. But as I told you, they can create layers, which was actually the case in Vodafone's case. So if they create a layers in the question, students, like ZPLC in turn makes an investment in another company through which it is entering to RIL, so RIL will give the value to that Indian company, and that Indian company will give the value to ZPLC, finally whose shares was being transferred. By whom? By XINC dot. So what we are supposed to write? Where the shares of that foreign company, which foreign company we are talking about it? The foreign company we are talking about it is the one whose shares has been transferred. So where the shares of that foreign company derive its value substantially from either directly, in my question is direct, but the example which I just gave it to you was the indirect transfer. This was the indirect case. The example which I just gave you. How indirect? Because that foreign company, that is ZPLC, has made the investment in another company through which it is making the investment in the Indian asset. And therefore that would be the indirect case. But this question is about direct one. Okay, from an Indian asset. So substantially the value has been received from an Indian asset. Then the shares of such foreign company is deemed to be situated in India. Please don't write like this. You will make an error in the examination. Which is that error? Yes, Jyoti, which is that error that you are going to make in the examination? So the error that you are going to make in the examination will be that you will get so excited knowing that the shares, the value of the shares of ZPLC is derived substantially from an Indian asset. Once you know that, do you know what is that? What you are going to conclude in the examination? You will say, since the value of the shares of ZPLC is derived substantially from the Indian asset, therefore the capital gain is deemed to accrue rise in India. You write that, that's it, gone. Half marks for whatever you have written in this case. Primarily, you will get only half marks, students. Do you get this particular point very clearly? Herein, if the shares of that foreign company derive its value substantially from whom? From an Indian asset. From whom? From an Indian asset. Then what we are going to say? That shares of the foreign company will be deemed to be situated in India. That shares of the foreign company will be deemed to be situated in India. This is what, students, you are supposed to calculate. And if it is deemed to be situated in India, then automatically XINC dot foreign company has transferred what? A asset which is deemed to be situated in India, and therefore the capital gain arising on such transfer is deemed to accrue rise in India. This is the stretch that you are going to take in your entire answer that you are going to do, students. Therefore you have to, I told you, be very careful as to what you write. Once you have written this, then you go to step number 2 of your answer. And what is the step number 2? Is about substantial. What is substantial? Substantial, students, primarily we will discuss this thing. So you can write like this also, because it will be difficult for you to write the answers in the normal way. It may be difficult, so you can write like this also. When to test substantial condition, when to test substantial condition, and second one is how to test. Write like a child, the way he writes it. At least they are making it very clear to that examiner, so that that examiner understand that you got hold with the provision. That is very important. So when to test and how to test. When to test and how to test. So which date you will you will check the substantial condition. There are two dates. One is the last date of the accounting period preceding the date of transfer, and the second one is the date of transfer itself. And the second one is the date of transfer itself. So there are two dates for which we have to make a choice. That we will see. I think all of you are aware of the provision. We'll see on that. And how to test. So again, there are two conditions. How to test, for which there are two conditions. We will also look into it. So I'm just creating a structure. Substantial, students, you will write like this. When to test and how to test. Primary. So there are two dates for this particular part, out of which only one date will be freezed. As I told you, either it is the last date preceding the date of last date of the accounting period preceding the date of transfer. That is one date. And the second date is the date of transfer itself. Between the two dates, you have to select one. And on that selected date, you will then have to see primarily how to test the two conditions which I was talking about it. And what is the two condition? Let's get started with this. So this is the setup of what you're going to write in the examination. Because if you cannot write up till here properly, students, you will not get marks. For sure, at least this much of the area I've already created the segmentation. You will not make mistake in your approach to write the answer. Please now come to your chart, and now let's look upon to those directly that critical point. So these two dates, students, which I was talking about it. First, let's look upon to the date part. Now the date part, students, is about this one. Which date, students? Which date? Either the date on which the accounting period ends. So whenever the accounting period will end, that is the date. The date when the accounting period will end, that is the date. Or what? Or the date of transfer, primarily. If the book value, students, be careful. Here we are using the concept of book value. So when to this specified date I am writing, when to test. Okay, so we are freezing the specified date. As I told you, it would be either the last date of the accounting period before the date of transfer, but it can also be the date of transfer if the total book value of the company, which company, by the way, which company we are talking about it? The ZPLC foreign company. ZPLC foreign company. If the total book value of the foreign company, which is ZPLC, as on the date of transfer, has increased by more than 15% when compared to the total book value of the same foreign company as on the last date of the accounting period preceding the date of transfer. So if it has increased by more than 15%, then you will go with the date of transfer as the specified date and not the date of the last date of the accounting period preceding the date of transfer. Did you all got this one? So this is precisely how, students, you have to take into account. And as told you, freeze the date first, because as on the date when you will freeze, you will check the substantial condition. You will check what? The substantial condition. And now what is this substantial condition? Let's look upon to this. It means the value as on the specified date. It means what? The value as on the specified date. And the specified date, in that case, value should exceed by what? Herein, exceed by 10 crores. Students, congratulations. You will say, sir, suddenly why congratulations? I told you in the part A of the class. What was that I told you in the part A of the class? You have to make a checklist of all the items of the threshold limits, isn't it? So, congratulations, because another checklist is getting ready. Now you will say, which checklist is getting ready? So the checklist which is getting ready, students, is here exceeding. It is exceeding by 10 crores. and not greater than or equal to. Don't make this blunder. It is excess of 10 crores. Did you all got this one? Excess of 10 crores, students, is what you're going to write. And point number 2, represents at least 50%. Can you see that? Don't make the blunder of writing greater than 50%. So the Indian asset. So herein, what exceed the value of the investment, the value of the asset. Whose asset I am talking about it? Value of the Indian asset. Held by. The value of Indian asset held by foreign company. Which foreign company? ZPLC. So value of Indian asset held by ZPLC. Value of Indian asset held by ZPLC. Value of Indian asset held by foreign company ZPLC. If it exceed how much? 10 crores. Exceed. And it represents minimum 50% of the total value of asset held by whom? Held by the company. Which company? Foreign company. Foreign company. Who is the foreign company? In my example, ZPLC. So Indian asset should meet both the criteria. One is the absolute criteria and another is the relative criteria. One is what? Absolute criteria and another is what? The relative criteria. When we talk about the absolute criteria, students, absolute criteria means what? It should cross by more than 10 crores. And relative criteria, students, it means what? It should be minimum 50% of the value of all the asset. Minimum 50% of the value of all the asset owned by whom? Owned by the company or the entity, as the case may be. Now, what is this value, students? Be very careful. This is very important. Rule 11UC comes into play. Rule 11UC. The value, students, here is the fair market value of the asset as on the specified date. What is the value over here? The value over here is the fair market value as on what? As on the specified date. Now, this FMV value as on the specified date, primarily when we talk about the FMV value, this FMV value is without any reduction of the liabilities. So when you talk about the value of the Indian asset, herein, this has to be the fair market value. And that fair market value should be without the deduction of the liabilities. So if liabilities has been reduced, in calculating the fair market value, you need to please add up that liability amount, and that is what will be considered and checked, that whether that Indian FMV value of the investment, does it exceed by more than rupees 10 crores? The Indian FMV value of the investment, does it exceed rupees 10 crores, and is it at least 50% of the total FMV value of the asset held by whom? Held by ZPLC, the foreign company. And this two particular test has to be applied on the specified date. And what is the specified date? The specified date can be the last date of the accounting period preceding the date of transfer, or it can also be the date of transfer if it is what? Greater than 15%. See here, not greater than or equal to 15%. It should be more than 15%. And here, students, the book value is the concept, not the FMV value. So to decide or to freeze the specified date, you will focus on the book value. To freeze or to decide the specified date, you will focus on what? On the book value. Please be very careful on that, primarily in this regard. So therefore, this would be the book value, and this would be what? This would be herein the fair market value. This is a true distinction. I hope that all of you have got hold with this point. If this is very clear, students, shall we then take up the MTP question? There is a minority shareholder concept which has been there, which I'll touch upon a bit later. Minority shareholder concept which has been there, which I'll touch upon a bit later. Rishabh, what is the difference in the class and the one uploaded in your own channel, YouTube? In my own channel, Rishabh, it is not, the chart is not there. I made the students write. Here I am doing it through chart. This is the only difference. Otherwise, the content part of it definitely is the same. So this is because the chart has been given to the students, so I'm using the chart in this lecture. Okay. Now, students, let's take across the MTP straight away. I will do one question. Be very careful. Those are the questions which IC I will try to aim at. Yes, FMV value is without reduction of the liability. Now, here so students, let's come back quickly. The question in MTP1 is this one. I will be using MTP1 because many practical questions I have set in this MTP1. One is on the indirect transfer. We will quickly revise this question, students, which is again very important. Like if you would have done my book earlier, then you would have encountered this question. Otherwise, this sort of question, students, you can get it directly in the examination. A practical high-end question I've set across. Let's quickly run through this one, which is question number 10. Yes, question number 10. So here, students, let's have a look. Question number 10. In this situation, yes, question number 10. Let's look upon to this. RIL is an Indian company engaged in multifaceted business activities. Barbara Inc. a US investment giant, wants to get 20% stake in the Indian company. This is the objective. Did you got this one? This is the objective of that company. What is the objective? Primarily, that foreign company, US company, wants to have a stake of 20% in the Indian company. Wants to have what? Stake of 20% in that Indian company. This is the ultimate objective, or you can say the long-term objective. Fine. So this is the ultimate objective or the long-term objective of that particular foreign company, which is a US company. Fine. But now, instead of doing it directly, it would be doing it indirectly. That is, through another company, it is getting a stake in the Indian company. Whenever this approach, students, comes in the examination, automatically, primarily, you will say what? Automatically, you will say that it's a case of an indirect transfer. Vodafone cases will be applicable. Whenever you will find what? That instead of doing a direct investment, they are routing it through a foreign company, an intermediary in between. They are routing the investment through an intermediary company in between. Whenever this situation will be there, you will always say what? You'll always say that this particular case is that of an indirect transfer. Vodafone cases being applicable. But please don't make a mistake. A handful request to all of you. Don't make a mistake if there is a case of combination of foreign company directly doing an investment in the Indian company. Please don't write the indirect transfer. Don't write Vodafone. If you write Vodafone, wrong answer. 0 marks. Be careful on that particular part. Let's look upon to this now. In this case, RIL is an Indian company engaged in multifaceted business activities. Barbara Inc. a US giant, wants to get 20% stake in the Indian company. Considering a favorable treaty position, this is the game. Considering what? A favorable treaty position between India and Mauritius, the US giant floated a company in Mauritius by acquiring its shares. When they have acquired the shares of the Mauritius company, it is on 1st of Jan 2018. For how much? For rupees 10 crores. So in my case study, students, in my case study, what I have done is that I have floated Singapore company. Here you are getting the particular case of, here you are getting a particular case through Mauritius. Here you are getting the case through Mauritius. Mauritius company in turn acquired RIL on 1st of March 2019. So US company acquired the shares in Mauritius. Mauritius company in turn acquired the shares of RIL on when? On 1st of March 2019. So please understand the combination. I have acquired on 1st of Jan 2018. I means US company has acquired the shares in Mauritius on 1st Jan 2018, and thereafter the Mauritius company has acquired the shares of RIL on 1st of March 2019. Now please take the things further. The accounting period of the Mauritius company ends on 31st of December. Fine. This is why they are giving you this information. What is the necessity of this one? This is only for that specified date calculation. So you should try to know, okay, this information is for that purpose. That is one thing you should always keep on processing in your mind while you read the question. Okay. So the accounting period of the Mauritius company ends on 31st of December. As on 31st December 2019, its book value of the total asset was how much, students? Was rupees 25 crores. Was rupees 25 crores. So accordingly, they have given you that particular book value. Now come the next point, 31st March 2020. Barbara Inc. transferred the shares of Mauritius company to another investor in US at a price of how much? 50 crores. So Barbara Inc. transferred the shares. The date of transfer is 31st March 2020. The date of transfer, students, is 31st March 2020. Then that date, it transferred the shares of the Mauritius company to another investor in US. In my example, it was Singapore company shares was transferred by X Inc. to another investor in US. Here, the Mauritius company shares are getting transferred on 31st March 2020 by the US company to another US investor. At a price of, students, at a price of 50 crores. At a price of 50 crores. The book value after reduction of the liability, FMV after reduction of liability as on 31st March 2020 is as below. Students, I told you again, I'm repeating this. Please don't make this mistake in the exam. FMV value, rule 11 UC is a tricky rule. That this FMV value, rule 11 UC, very tricky rule. This rule will say that when you have to determine the FMV, you have to do it on a gross basis, on the entity basis. What does it imply? That any liability, if at all they would have reduced in calculating the FMV, any liability, if at all they would have reduced in calculating the FMV, then that liability has to be added back. That liability has to be added back. So therefore, this is this is what they have already made this point very clear. Students, be very careful. Now, if that is the case, let's see what is the situation as on this date. Mauritius company, particulars, book value 30 crores, RIL book value is 110 crores. Mauritius company FMV is 50. Yes, Ruchika. RIL it is 180. Liabilities, students, see the liabilities. Now this liabilities, please understand, I will add only with what? FMV value. Please be very careful. I will be adding the liabilities only for the FMV. So here for RIL, the liabilities, after reducing the liabilities, primarily it is 180, FMV is 180. So I need to, before liability it is 200. Before liability it is 200, FMV value. Before liability it is 200. Fine. Now, they have asked you the question, explain whether the capital gains on transfer of shares of Mauritius company shall be taxable in India. So what is the first step that you are going to write? Explanation number 5. And what is that explanation number 5 to 911? Where the shares of this Mauritius company derive its value substantially from the Indian asset. What is the Indian asset? Indian asset is the RIL shares. Then the shares of the Mauritius company will be deemed to be situated. The shares of the Mauritius company will be deemed to be situated where? In India. Now, accordingly, what is substantial? You will make this two box. What is the two box? When to test and how to test. So let's first freeze when to test. Specified date is what we need to first determine. So what is the specified date? Now, the date of transfer, students, is 31st March 2020. In the question, very clearly, we got to know that the date of transfer is 31st March 2020. Isn't it? Now, what is the last date of the accounting period preceding the date of transfer? So the last date of the accounting period preceding the date of transfer is 31st December 2019. So that is the last date of the accounting period preceding the date of transfer, and the date of transfer is 31st March 2020. Now I have to check for that foreign company, in which in this example it is Mauritius company, the total book value of the Mauritius company, the total book value of its asset of the Mauritius company as on these two dates. So let's see, first of all, what is the total book value of the Mauritius company as on the last date of the accounting period preceding the date of transfer. It is 25 crores. It is, students, 25 crores. Fine. Now what is the total book value of this particular asset, or total book value of all its asset as on the date of transfer, which is 31st March 2020? It is 30 crores. Difference is 5 crores. So therefore, is the difference, which is 5 crores, is it exceeding by more than 15%? And the answer is yes. So therefore, my specified date, students, will be, how much? My specified date, students, in this case will be 31st March 2020. My specified date, students, in this case will be 31st March 2020. That's a specified date. Now, as on this specified date, in this regard, we will then go with the two condition. And which is the two condition? The Indian value, the fair market value of the Indian asset should be more than rupees 10 crores. The FMV value of the Indian asset as on the specified date should be more than 10 crores. Is it more than 10 crores? The FMV value of the investment. How much investment, by the way, students? Can you tell me from this calculation how much investment that the Mauritius company is having in the Indian asset as on what? As on the specified date. What is the fair market value of the investment made by the Mauritius company in the Indian asset, that is RIL, as on the specified date? What is the fair market value? Yes, it is 31st March 2020. Thank you, Salman. Nice look for this beard. Very good. Okay. Anyway, I'll take the compliment. No, Dhruv, book value is not to be added. Only for fair market value you have to add the liability. Only for the fair market value you are supposed to add the liability. Fine. So that is what you have to take into account. Only for the fair market value you have to add the liability. So students, the fair market value of the investment, made by whom? Made by the Mauritius company in the Indian asset as on the date of transfer, which is a specified date, is how much? Fair market value is 200. This is the total fair market value of the Indian company. This is what total fair market value of the Indian company. How much is the investment made by the Mauritius company? 20%. So therefore, we all know from the first line that the US company through this Mauritius company has made the investment in the Indian asset to the extent of 20%. So the total FMV is 200, out of which how much portion is attributable to the investment made by the Mauritius company? It is 20%. It is 20%. So therefore, the fair market value of the investment made by the Mauritius company in the Indian asset RIL as on the date of transfer, which is a specified date, is rupees 40 crores. So this is the fair market value of the investment. Okay, so is that FMV value of the investment in the Indian asset, is it exceeding by 10 crores? Does it exceed by more than rupees 10 crores? Yes, it is in excess of rupees 10 crores, because the investment value of the Mauritius company in the RIL shares is how much? 40 crores. So therefore it is exceeding. The first condition is getting satisfied. First condition is getting satisfied. What about the second condition, students? Second condition is 40 divided by what is the second condition? Is it more than 50%? Is it more than or equal to 50% of the total FMV value of the asset of the foreign company? Which foreign company? The Mauritius company. So the total FMV value of the Mauritius company, students, how much is the total FMV value of the Mauritius company? 50 crores. How much is the total FMV value of the Mauritius company? The total FMV value of the Mauritius company is 50 crores. Did you all agree with this? Okay, out of which, how much is the contribution of the Indian asset in this FMV value? It is 40. Okay, Indian investment is 40 out of the total FMV value of the assets of that Mauritius company. Indian contribution is 40. So therefore, yes, indeed, it has crossed. It is 80%. So the investment is 80%. So therefore, even the second condition is getting satisfied as on the specified date. Even the second condition is getting satisfied as on the specified date. And finally, therefore, we will conclude. Conclude what? The shares, that is the Mauritius company shares, derive its value substantially from what? From the Indian asset. And because it is deriving its value substantially from the Indian asset, finally, the conclusion is that the shares of the Mauritius company is deemed to be situated in India. The shares of what? The Mauritius company is deemed to be situated in India. And if it is deemed to be situated in India, therefore Barbara, the US giant, the Barbara Inc. who has transferred the shares of Mauritius company will have a capital gains on such transfer, which we will say as deemed to have accrued or arised in India. Capital gains will be deemed to have accrued rise in India. So once that is done, students, now I want you to appreciate the capital gains calculation. All this is fine. I have discussed with you all of this particular point. I come towards the calculation of the capital gains. This one. Students, please come to the calculation of capital gains. This is the real thing at the end of the day. Now, who is the transferor? Who is going to calculate the capital gains? Herein, the calculation of the capital gains will be done by whom? It will be done by the Mauritius company. Sorry, the US company who is the transferor of the shares of the Mauritius company, isn't it? So the transferor is the one who will have to compute the capital gains. No, Siddesh, don't quote the Vodafone case law. Please don't quote the Vodafone because it is overruled now, completely overruled. So don't quote the Vodafone case. So here in students, the transferor Barbara Inc. They are the SSC. So they are the SSC. Now since they are the SSC, accordingly they will be the one who will be calculating the capital gains. Full value of consideration, students, 50 crores. They have sold the shares of Mauritius company at rupees 50 crores. They have sold the shares of the Mauritius company at rupees 50 crores. Now next is about the cost. Now can you tell me here, it is a long-term or a short-term capital asset? First of all, be careful. We have to calculate the period of holding and decide whether it is a long-term or short-term. Once that is decided, the next question will come is about the indexation to be applied or not. If it is a long-term, all these factors has to be looked upon because it's a capital gains. Capital gains calculation always require the first is the asset that you have transferred. Is it long-term or short-term? And where it is long-term, then the indexation concept. So accordingly, students, here be very careful. The asset that you have transferred is the shares. This company which is the capital asset which is transferred, is that shares? Is it listed in a stock exchange in India? And the answer is no. Since it is not listed in a stock exchange in India, it will be considered as an unlisted shares. So what is the definition of unlisted shares? A shares which is not listed in a stock exchange in India. So the asset that you have transferred is the Mauritius company shares. Mauritius company shares is not listed in a stock exchange in India, and therefore its status will be that of an unlisted shares. And we all know the period of holding for an unlisted shares is more than 24 months. So please have a look here, students, the period of holding. Is it going beyond 24 months? What is the date when you have acquired the shares of of Mauritius company? The date when I have acquired is 1st of January 2018. 1st of January 2018. And what is the date when I have transferred? I have transferred on 31st March 2020. So if you see the difference is by more than 24 months. If you see the difference, then the difference is by more than 24 months, and therefore we say that it is indeed a long-term capital asset. Because the period of holding, why it is long-term? Because the shares, this I'll write as what, students? Unlisted company shares. Okay, long-term capital gains, I'm getting it. So herein, but the question therefore is, all of you will ask, sir, what about the indexation? No, Shraddha, it is 24 months. I hope that you have got hold with this point now. So 24 months, students, you will ask one question, sir, what about indexation? What happened to indexation? This is the entire game, students. Section 112, there is a proviso which says, please listen this very carefully, although it is there in the note also, but right now you listen. There is a specific proviso in section 112 which 99% students are not aware of it. And what that proviso says in section 112, it says that where a non-resident transfers the shares of an unlisted company, being a long-term capital asset, then the capital gains will be calculated without providing the indexation, and the rate of capital gains tax will be at 10%. So there has to be a non-resident who has transferred what? The shares of an unlisted company, which is a long-term capital asset. In such case, when these conditions are satisfied, then the long-term capital gains will be first calculated without giving the benefit of indexation, and whatever is the value that has been determined, on that value you will apply the tax rate of 10%. This is what precisely the provision is. So accordingly, students, accordingly, you have to be careful in this regard. If you see over here, please have a look to this one. 50, 10, okay, and then 40. So without giving the indexation benefit, 40. Okay, so that is what you have got it without the indexation. Now the question is whether the entire long-term capital gains, can it be considered as deemed to have accrued or arise in India? Whether the entire long-term capital gains, can that be considered as deemed to have been accrued or arise in India? You will say the answer to be no. We'll say, sir, why? We'll say the answer to be no. Because only 80%, just now you did the calculation and you told me only 80% is the pro rata asset held by the Mauritius company in India. Balance 20% is the foreign asset. So we can therefore say out of the total long-term capital gains of 40 crores, 20% of the long-term capital gain is in respect of a foreign asset. 80% of the long-term capital gains is in respect of an Indian asset. And therefore, students, yes, we will have to take only 80% of this. So therefore, in that case, take 80%, and which gets you 32 crores. And of this 32 crores, then as I told you, the tax rate would be 10%. This is 3.2. This is what you do. Akshat, how department knows about it? Very difficult, Akshat. This is only one way. Tax exchange information agreement in treaty. Through tax exchange information agreement, this concept would be known. And also there is one section 285BA. Okay, but that is a different section where the Indian company holds that asset in the Indian investments and all. So that is the case. Otherwise, it's through the treaty, tax exchange information agreements in the treaties. I hope that, students, now you have got hold with this point. Sir, is the proviso 112 only for non-resident? This proviso Uttara, this proviso which I have talking about it, this proviso is only for the non-resident, which we have just quoted this one, which is this one. This proviso that we have talked about it is Uttara is only for the non-resident. Fine, students. So this covers up your indirect transfer, students. Very important thing. Now, last point which is there. Sir, how 80%? Pavan, Pratap, see 80% how you got it? Again, let me repeat for 80% calculation. For those who haven't understood the 80%. See, please pay attention to this one. One thing, understand on this 80%. This is fair market value. We have calculated fair market value 200 Do you agree to this one? Fair market value of RIL is 200. In that FMV, how much was the investment of Mauritius company? 20%, which is 40. So I can say that the fair market, out of the total 200 crores of the fair market value of the RIL asset, 40 crore of stake, 40 crores of the stake, FMV stake, 40% of the investment is of whom? 40 crores of investment is of the Mauritius company. Is of whom? Is of the Mauritius company. Isn't it? Now, if the 40 crores of the investment stake is of the Mauritius company, please check for Mauritius company how much is its own total asset. Pratap, how much is his own total asset? So the total asset is 50 crores. Out of the total FMV of 50 crores, 40% is in the Indian asset. 40 crores is in the Indian asset. So out of the total 50 crores of the FMV, total asset, FMV value of the asset of 50 crores, in that 40 crores of the FMV is in the Indian asset. So accordingly, the Indian investment is how much? 80%. Indian investment is how much? 80%, Pratap. Balaji, what will be the dividend treatment if RIL issues dividend in this case? Balaji, dividend distribution tax. RIL, if they pay dividend, DDT will be DDT 1150. And then the recipient company, who's the recipient company? Mauritius company, foreign company. Now, this is a very good question. Very good question, in fact. Indeed, a very good question. Shall I answer now herein? If all of you are through, just hold on. All of you will be very careful about it. Please pay attention here. Balaji Ravi has asked a very credible question. His question was, if dividend has been distributed, supposingly RIL distribute say 10 crores dividend. 10 crores dividend. On this, RIL will pay DDT under 1150. Do you all agree? 20.552%. 20.552%. RIL will pay DDT. How much dividend will be received by Mauritius company? Mauritius company, how much dividend they will receive? So the dividend that Mauritius company will receive would be how much? In this case, 20% of 10 crores. So this will become 2 crores. 2 crores of the dividend will be received by the Mauritius company, which is the foreign company. This is the foreign company, isn't it? Question to all of you therefore is, whether 1034 full exemption of 2 crores will it be available to the Mauritius company? That is my question. Let me see how many of you answer. Whether 1034 full exemption will it be available to whom? To the Mauritius company. 1034 exemption. Full exemption 1034, will it be available? Akshat has given the answer. Let's start answering. Pranika, Uttara, Shubham, Jyoti, Balaji, Ruchika, Dhruv. Say. Srini, Chintan, Devya, Anjali, Dhruv. Fine. Vignesh, Shreya. Perfect. Now let's try to understand this concept. Students, in 1034 there are 2 layers. Rangesh, please be careful. I am repeating this for the last time now, because this is something would be setting up your future now. In 1034 there are 2 layers. Layer number 1. would be other than company. Keep other than company. This other than a company is my layer number 1 and second layer is my company. For 1034 I'm talking about it. When it is other than the company, then what? For non-resident, other than company, then for non-resident, full exemption of 1034 is available. Full exemption. Other than a company, non-resident. Full exemption of 1034 is available. For a resident, 10 lakhs is a threshold. For a resident, 10 lakhs is a threshold. That is the story of layer number 1. Layer number 2, be careful. Layer number 2. What is the layer number 2? Company. As far as the company is concerned, domestic company, full 1034 exemption is available. Domestic company, full 1034 exemption is available. Foreign company, 10 lakhs exemption only is available. Meaning thereby, excess beyond 10 lakhs will be charged to tax under section 115 BBDA at 10%. At 10%. Keep this particular concept always in mind so that you don't make a mistake. Again, I am repeating, students, just pay attention here. 2 layers. Layer 1, all person other than company. Layer 2, only for company. Fine. For layer 1, what I told you, all the non-resident in the first category will have a full exemption under 1034. As far as the resident is concerned, who are the resident? Primarily, for them, 10 lakhs is the exemption limit. 10 lakhs is the exemption limit, primarily. So, in that case, in excess of 10 lakhs, 115 BBDA. Okay. As far as second layer is considered, second layer, company, domestic company, full exemption. Domestic company, full exemption without a limit. Foreign company, limit of 10 lakhs will apply. In excess of 10 lakhs, 10% is a rate under section 115 BBDA. Okay, keep this in mind. Okay, by the way, hold on. This charitable trust and this 1023C institution, they also get full exemption. Okay, so just be clear that charitable trust in section 11 and 1023C, they also get full exemption. So just be very clear on this. Only just keep this format in mind, what I have told you just now. So what will happen if these people have to really manipulate this question really very well? In fact, I am thankful for the student Rangesh. I think your query, Balaji has given this query so that I can draft my question and modify this question for the next particular attempt students, and whereby this particular thing, if they receive dividend of 2 crores, then in that case what will happen? 10% DDT would be paid in full by RIL, 20% is a stake, so Mauritius company will get 2 crores of dividend. And if they are getting 2 crores of dividend, in that particular case, students, what will happen in this regard? In that particular case, they will be subject to 10 lakhs exemption, and in excess of 10 lakhs, 115 BBDA 10%. 115 BBDA 10%. Okay. So, in fact, students, then RIL who is paying the dividend have to deduct TDS at the rate of 20%. That is a really master stroke query that somebody has asked. Yes. So, students, this is what it is. I hope that all of you now have got hold with this one. Fine, students. Fine. So, students, I hope that now, please don't make a mistake. In fact, in one of the attempt for a foreign company MAT provision, they have asked this question. I will show you also in my MAT lecture. In my MAT lecture, I will show you that question. IC have asked very recently, 2 attempts or 3 attempts back. One MAT question they have asked in this same thing, foreign company getting a dividend. Just I'll show you that time. No, Uttara, if you see very carefully, primarily, in the math particular part, I'll show you this one now. Uttara, in the math particular part, which I'll show you now. Okay, so just keep whatever conclusion that we have made in mind, just keep that conclusion, and that should be all. Fair enough. So this is how it goes. Let me in fact show you the act here if it is there. Thank you, Balaji. So students, herein notwithstanding anything contained in this act, where the total income of a specified SSE resident in India includes any income in aggregate exceeding 10 lakhs by way of dividend declared distributed by this thing, the income tax payable shall be aggregate of the following. In this case, so they have given this particular part. Who is a specified SSE? Uttara, just see who is a specified SSE. See the specified SSE here. Specified SSE means person other than whom? Domestic company. Can you see that here? So in that regard, so other than a domestic company, so they have eliminated only a domestic company in this regard. So other than a domestic company, and that is the reason why primarily what happens is that foreign company gets included. This is a real challenge. Okay, so please ensure that this category which I have told you, just follow this category now, what I have told you in this regard. Fine students, I hope that this particular part, yes indeed, the entire house is thankful for Balaji for asking this query. In fact, I am also thankful that I will then use in my next, in this I will modify this MTP. For that I will give you the royalty as well for asking this particular query. Okay, now students, this was your indirect transfer, which is the session which I have given to all of you right now. And next class students, we will start off with the next class we will be doing the remaining part of the international taxation, that is on tomorrow, because evening you have got law lecture as well. Now only part one quick point students which I'll just discuss and I'll wrap it up for today's session. And where is that? Students, herein if you put across this last part, I think all of you are aware of this 5% part. Minority shareholder. Students, here we were talking about Chintan, sir, MTP and capsule questions are enough. Yes, 7 MTPs, Chintan, and the capsule questions are more than enough. Now students, here one more point before I can just like students were saying that sir, video MTP videos are there. I will be putting MTP videos also in my app. I'll do that. Just this week I was not well, so this week primarily was not there, but next week definitely I'll start putting the remaining videos. 2 videos I've already done, so remaining videos also I'll put it in the MTP, and that videos also would be in English, so don't worry. So in that app test series segment I'll put the remaining videos, so that all that worries are over now. For the entire MTP, solution is there, but video is just like a support for the hand holding to the critical questions which are there in that MTP. So that way I'll just do it in the next week. I'll start putting the videos also, so that is wrapped up. Okay. So that I'll do it next week. So this week was very difficult for me. Next week definitely I'll put it across for sure. And in fact I will do the live if you want. I will do also live. I'll announce it in my app in that particular test series segment. I'll announce it the live when I'm going to take it across, so you can be there, and I'll ensure that it does not clash with your existing lectures which you are doing it right now. So students, now let's come to that 5%. Last one students, herein that 5% which is there, if there is a minority, all the queries students just a bit later on you can ask. Just let me complete the last point. 5% students, that part is there. If the question can also tell you, we are talking about like big X INC dot in my example, a huge, the big investment, the US giant. We're talking about these particular companies, isn't it? We are talking about these particular companies, and accordingly, if supposingly we are talking only about them, but what about if in ZPLC, the Singapore company, or in that Mauritius company, in that previous MTP question, if there are some minority shareholders who are not holding more than 5% of voting power in that Mauritius company or in that Singapore company, and if these minority shareholders, if they are the one who have transferred the shares of this Mauritius company, if they are the one who have transferred the shares of this particular Mauritius company, then whether you will say that because the shares of this Mauritius company and the Singapore company is deemed to be situated in India, therefore whether you will say that the capital gains arising on the transfer of that particular share will also be deemed to accrue or arise in India. So provision has been provided there, clearly stating that this provision of 911 will not be applicable to that shareholder of this foreign company, which is the Singapore company or the Mauritius company in those two examples that we did. So if in those foreign company, if there is a minority shareholder not holding more than 5% of the voting power, then to them this provision is not going to be applicable. This is the last point, students. Just keep that particular thing as well in mind, because this is also equally very critical question. Fine. So tomorrow, students, we'll do this remaining passive income, which was being there. Okay, this was asked in November attempt. Yes, yes. I don't know. I'm not aware then. So students, this is what it is. Yes, yes, Rohan. Black Money Act is also, obviously it is a topic, so we have to cover. No, no. Which paper 6C, Rohan, you are asking, or which particular part? Thank you, students, for the health concern. Obviously, I told you the medications are there. Like, what is the situation that these medicines that they give, because it's a viral flu. So when you eat, you feel drowsy. So that's a kind of a medicine which is there. Nobody should have any medicine in life. CB, with respect to 3 and 4, total employees 10. All 4 are located. CB, which particular question you are asking? Point 3 and 4, total employees? Which question you are there? MTPs, Pawan, question and answer is already given in the form of the PDF. CB, you need to explain me what exactly you are asking. I am not getting your question. Thank you. About ABOI test. Okay, Ravi is asking. Okay, I'll come to this. Ravi, tomorrow this royalty FTS, foreign tax credit, that point, equalization levy. So those are the things. Foreign tax rule number 128. That is what we will do. Foreign tax credit rules. Those are the things. 918. ABOI. CB is asking ABOI. ABOI, third and fourth point, which is this point. Now, CV, you can tell me here, point number 3 and 4. Employee, it is in mine, it is 2 and 3. Total employees, 10. Okay, see, I'll just give you this particular thing. I'm not understanding your query. 6 NR located in India, comprising of 40% payroll. Fine. Okay, all 4 are located outside India. 10 employees, out of which 6 are non-resident and 4 are resident. All 4 are located outside India, but they are resident. Technically, they are resident. If they are resident, that is it. So accordingly, 4 are resident in India. So just focus on that. So it is 40%. Comprising 60% of payroll. Okay, in that case, you are defaulted. So 60%. Who are the resident? So if they are getting 60%, that's it. Default. ABOI condition, CB is defaulted. ABOI. Don't worry about this or. Forget it. Primary. Either it is a resident or whether they are situated in India. Either one of the two will suffice. Whether they are resident or they are situated in India, either one of the two will suffice for the purpose of doing the default. Fine. What is the capsule question? Any book is available, sir? Deva. This is a capsule book which we have, our book. Actually, they are talking about the capsule book, which is this book. Primarily. This is actually the capsule book. Actually, it is not a capsule, no longer a capsule, but this is the textbook. But those who are having July attempt, don't refer this book now. You will refer only the MTPs. Those having July attempt. Please, those who are having July attempt, no new things. As simple as that. Only MTPs. November, can have these capsule and all these things. Definitely not July. No new things, as simple as that. 7 particular MTPs is what you will do. CB, I hope that you have got hold with it now. Rangesh, sir, one small doubt in outside India test. Each of the 3 conditions have to be satisfied. Yes, yes. For business to be considered an inside in India. Or even satisfaction. No, 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 Rangesh. All 3. 1, 2 and 3. All the 3. Okay. So, this give you whether the business is active or not. And after this, you have to ensure that all the 3 points, for all the 3 points, the exposure in India is not more than 50%. For all the 3 points, the exposure in India is not more than 3 points. Pawan, I'll just give one number because these are system done. So directly you can ask there. Frankly speaking, I'm not into the system. There are third party people who are just ask in this number what is the system requirement. I'm not aware much on these particular lines. But please you can ask at this number, Pawan. I've given you the number. CB, I hope that you have got hold with this point. So students, any other queries that you all have? Fine, students. Okay, CB, I'll just check in the telegram in this case. Through a diagram, you can just let me know. Any schedule for AMA lectures? Ravi, yes, I mean, AMA lectures are starting from Monday. From Monday, yes, Monday it is starting, Ravi. I will give you the time tomorrow. Is there any threshold limit for applicability of poem? Yes, 50 crores. Vignesh, 50 crores. 50 crores is the threshold limit. Turnover limit is 50 crores. Obviously, only to the big companies. Only to the big companies, Vignesh, that the the poem concept is applicable. Small companies, poem does not apply. They will be going as per the old particular provision for the small companies. Vignesh. Thank you, Shraddha. Which number? Pawan, I have typed the number already. I am again typing. 97794300034. Yes, Dhruv, 50 crores or less, it is not applicable. Perfect. So, AMA is from 2nd June. Sorry. It is not AMA, it is the new course costing. Very true. Shubham has corrected me. It is SCMP. I'm stand corrected. Yes, sir, sorry. It is SCMP. PK sir is thinking. So it is SCMP. Yes, I got it. I never gave a thought. It is student SCMP. इसका actually इसका is not there, frankly speaking. Fine, students. I'll see you tomorrow. Anything else that you want to ask? I'll then close it. Okay, see you then, students, tomorrow. Thank you very much. Thank you.